got this thing we've been all working on
Wow.
behalf of it's not me and it's not Morgan. I mean, this is a
Mm.
lot of
Lots of
things.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is you. I mean, this is people keep saying, "Oh, I'm happy for Soulogy," and I'm like, "You are Soulogy."
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean? I mean, it's
yeah.
people will understand it. I think they already are at a telepathic level, intuitive level, but essentially, I mean, obviously, we're going to be broadcasting all of our full length stuff after the 24th here. So
Yeah.
that's just a kind of a that's kind of like the foundational thing or something.
Yeah.
Pulling everything away, people are like, oh, you're not going to be on YouTube, you're not going to be on Facebook. Well, we'll put out excerpts. We'll still be
Mm, mm,
there, but
mm.
the whole idea is to take that final action and disengage from the physical, what we can look at and know that's a matrix component.
Yeah.
And no
Yeah.
matter how
Yeah.
scary it is, we're pulling away, not because we're
Mm,
different, but because that's just makes sense. Why, how could we, any of
mm.
us, how could we get to home plate if we're stuck on first base with one foot?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
run the
Yeah.
bases, with the other foot. But I think what's so beautiful about it is that once the templates are set, once we create the customized, um, you know, the orientation of the page and everything, then people will just go in and plug in, just like you
Hmm.
did with Facebook, just like you did with YouTube, but with more
Yeah.
resources, and it'll be something that everybody stewards. But we were talking a minute ago. Oh, by the way, everybody, welcome to Soul Speaks 5D. We haven't had our sister Zahara here in a long time, and we go way back. We go back to the early days of this show. I want to say probably 2018. So that's what, 5 years, something like that. 18,
Feels
19, 20,
longer,
21,
but
22.
yeah.
That's six.
Yeah.
This is into the 6 year of our friendship, or our collaboration and connection. Um, and we've always, yeah, it's always been really good, and kind of getting a perspective through your eyes, uh, the way you navigate this whole thing, the way you experience it was always very refreshing to me, and the fact that you love to laugh like I do.
Yeah.
So let me just say this: before the show, and we were just kind of chatting briefly, and I said, "Man, I was taken through it all last night. I'm like a bit discombobulated," and you were like, "Yeah, me too." I'm like, "Okay, well, we'll just start with that." So welcome back, sister. It's good to see you.
Oh,
Thank you for
lovely to see
being a
you.
part of Soulogy and Soul Speaks 5D over the years, and thank you for your service to humanity. What's up?
Oh, thank you. Gosh, what's up? Wow. I could hard. I was sort of, I was feeling like, oh, I said yes to this, and now I don't know whether I can hardly communicate. So you saying being discombobulated, definitely. Um, I, I had a vision a few weeks ago about Sophia. I don't think about or be with the name Sophia, whatever that presence is. But it was very clear. Sophia was this rising from the earth with dragon energy.
Mm.
And then I was drawn, I was led to do an initiation. And so many layers of my ego are still very active because it was minimalizing it. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be 2 days. And so I did a 2 day, it was over 2 days, live webinar. And the actual initiation came on the Sunday, just been. And I'm leading it. And I'm like, I'm feeling, it was very powerful. And I was given a lot of information a very tangible, real way. So I went back to ancient Egypt, and I experienced those beings that are called gods walking around. It was a memory.
Whoa, 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 whoa. When was this?
Sunday.
So, okay, so like 5 days ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The fact that you said that, and I can't remember if this was publicly, I'm pretty sure it was, and it had to do with what you're talking about. I'm gonna just be real quick, but it was Egypt, and I was a very large physical being, let's say 25, maybe 30 feet tall. I had very dark skin. I was considered, with many others, a god among the people. We were teaching. Now, this was only about, at the most, 10 days ago. 10 days ago. And it was really interesting because those like ourselves were walking around. We
Mm.
were teaching the people the technology, the everything, the sacred wisdom and everything. And then there came a point where I was sitting in a chair and I picked up a human and put him, like to talk to him, like a kid, right? And in that moment, this whole story came through, and and obviously covered hundreds of thousands of years. So we could just say Anunnaki, that point on, whatever you want to call it. These words don't scare me. These are us. That was the point of the whole transmission. So I was
Yeah.
sitting there going, I am a selfless God, so to speak, and I'm here taking care of these children from my mother, something like that. But then things started to slip, and I was
Yes.
taken through the whole evolution, the dissension of those like ourselves, who. So I went from the apex of the light to
Hmm.
the deepest depths of the dark, and then everything was integrated. I was the human was the God, and I was, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
that you say that with that specificity, that I just felt like I needed to go ahead, continue. Thank you.
Every time we don't very often come together, but when we come together, there's always really significant timing. So
Mm.
when it always is, and I'm always excited about that because it's always an amazing synchronicity. Um, um, well, prior to me, and I will, that's prior to me getting to Egypt, I was, it was the descent into the underworld to find our light, and that's very alchemical. And then I was then bringing everybody back up, and I literally had to claw myself up. And when one does, I would say, a sort of this type of shamanic journey, it's very real. So I'm aware that I'm speaking for the group, and I'm like having my own experience, thinking, I felt like, I was like, literally, how am I going to get back up? So then I get to ancient Egypt, and yes, these huge beings, and it was so packed there. It was so much going on with these tall beings that, and I didn't overly like it. I would say, put it mildly. And I didn't want to be. I'm like, I don't want to be back here again. I don't, and then Sophia said, "I'm showing this because yes, it did all go pear shaped, but it was that it was put to a stop." And then she said, "That's so. What's happening now could be worse." And then she said, "You talk about timelines. Time isn't a line. But if you think as an individual, you have one timeline and then another timeline, those are all, even if you think of it as lines, they're all merging with other people. So then you start going microcosm, macrocosm. It's not lines. So then we're resonating in this time space together, this earth. And then the message was that was one earth. That's not just a timeline. That is because when you go from microcosm and everyone's sharing the same time, we're creating reality, that earth, and there's one earth on top of another earth on top of another
Right.
earth in a way, and we can move through them, and then you start getting into parallel universes. But you know, when I have a visceral experience, we have these ideas, but when we feel it, when we experience it, it's like, so I've been assimilating all this. 'Cause there was more that happened, but I keep on joining the dots. I keep on joining the dots. So wow, yeah. So that's
So you were in a group setting. You have a group, right? Which I just want to mention too, that there's a lot of that going on, like more than ever. And I do a group. I'm in at least one group a week, one of Morgan's groups, and I think she said the other day it's 50 weeks or 51 weeks since she started this or was told to do this, like you were with the Sophia thing. And the amount of revelation and dimensional expansion, field expansion, I don't even know what the word is, love, wisdom, mutual experience, that occurs in a gathering such as that, where if it's an hour, let's say 95% is silence. And there's something going on with that. I know that can't, you know what I mean? It's like there's a newer, familiar method of communication that's turning on, that's becoming our chief operating system, as we still continue to verbalize and as we still continue to utilize those things which have gotten us here. I think it's the mother, the Sophia, coming out. That's what I feel. I feel like it's that part of us that was suppressed, where you walk around going, it's all right. There's nothing to fear, kind of thing, like, because the mother is the mother is the mother, the space in between. There's nothing that can happen to us. Rather than walking around in a distorted patriarchal, where she was suppressed, and we're always on edge waiting to see who's going to jump us. You know what I mean? So thank you for your work.
yeah. Thank you. It's interesting the mother, and you use the word patriarchal, because for years I was happy with that term, in a way, to frame my understanding of what's going on. And then I've been going down different routes I found myself listening to Jordan Peterson,
Yeah.
and he, talks about stuff from the male perspective that I have not heard before,
Right.
and there not being a patriarchy. And so I feel so much is being upturned and shaken up,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy that. Not always, but I really enjoy being shown a different perspective, and it was so refreshing. There's so much now that is like Soulogy at this time, to be on your own,
Yeah.
vessel and platform. There's more of that happening with. I was watching something else with some this guy who got the one of the peoples with the jab company.
Uh-huh. Oh, you're talking
The
about James O'Keefe?
yeah,
You're
I'm
talking
I'm
about
just
the Project Veritas? Is that?
yeah, that he got, the undercover.
Yeah, and he got so yeah. Just so people know, Project Veritas was a clandestine, kind of like WikiLeaks, I guess, in their own way, but a different way. And they would go in and they would secretly record meetings over the years, and the big one that really popped recently was one of their people recorded a Pfizer director that was that made some just
Oh yeah.
comments about basically that they're behind everything in one regard. And by the way, we can say whatever the fuck we want to now because we're not going to be on these platforms anymore. Excuse my French, ladies. But I think what you're saying is that where you're going with, I think his name's James O'Keefe. He was the guy running it, but and it's a nonprofit kind of thing. But there was a board selected, and after he made this expose come out, somehow after all these years, even though he originated and led it and drove it, the board said you got to go, you're fired. So I think what you're saying is he's starting his own thing now. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, he
Okay.
has. Yeah,
I didn't know that he was doing it, but that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And he's saying you can very much. I was thinking, gosh, this is like Soulogy. You can become a founding member, and so then the actual organization is owned by the collective.
That's right. That's right.
So I keep seeing parallels in like I would say the spiritual community and then outside of the spiritual community. And another person I like, he's an archaeologist. He was on TV and he's been on this news thing. He's called Neil Oliver, and I've watched him over the last year wake up more. Well, I would call wake up, and he got to one point 6 months ago, 8 months ago, he said, okay, I've been questioning so far, but now I'm stopping. I'm comfortable with what I've looked at, but now I'm stopping. And I'm like, will he stop there? He hasn't stopped there.
Yeah, you can't.
But he had a wobbly. I saw him have an ego wobbly going, it's too much. So yes, I like to keep informed, seeing how it's all linking together, even the same language people are using.
Yeah.
Very exciting. So it's very positive.
It is positive. It is happening real time. It's like, well, even if we just stop at December 31st, 2022. Or December 21st, 2022, when the 10-year Mayan thing ended, okay? Whatever that linear demarcation line is, since then, information, time, space, doing really weird stuff. Like, I mean, the synchronicities are compelling. And, for instance, do you know who Alex Collier is?
No.
Okay, he's been in contact with the Andromedans since the 90s, early 90s. And he's been one of those, like Jordan Maxwell, that's been out there way before the internet boom in, say, 2012. And very, very, specific detail, right? So there's a friend of ours, she'll be on again next week, Jenny Jablowski out of Arizona, Prescott, Arizona. And I happen to be going through YouTube, and I see Alex Collier with Jenny, Danny Henderson, who has a pretty big YouTube channel, and some whistleblower. So you had the whistleblower, you had the Galactic, you had Alex Collier, the Disclosure, and you had Jenny, who's like us, right?
Yeah.
And it was so amazing because, to your point about speaking the same language, you could see the threads weaving. And that was the first time that I had seen that level of homogeny, occurring with these, let's just say, these sub-platforms of the alternative reality. So I think it's a great sign, and I just want to mention this too because I saw a comment about the Pfizer thing. One of the many things that will occur with the Soulogy platform, which now to me it sounds like it feels better to say the Soulogy networking community, but will be that we'll be able to openly discuss things.
Cool.
And that doesn't mean that we have to, that we're because we know we've got to take the road of equilibrium and 0 point, but I do feel it will do a lot for the collective to have discussions that are not based on fear, but based on
Yeah.
open communication of our oral history, much of this oral history that's been passed down in one form or another, of what our true reality is. Which
Yeah.
people like you are going have to me kind of led the way. If you go back a few years, people coming in speaking light language, because back when I met you, it wasn't like everybody was doing it. You know what I mean?
No.
Not to take anything away from anybody, because there is no linear, but also to introduce, like in your case, to introduce not only galactic presence, but elementals, and to actually make visible the elemental makeup within yourself for people.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
itself opens up code. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have always enjoyed crossing those boundaries and seeing the overlaps, and that's always been my way.
Yeah.
I don't like to be boxed in. But just then, I didn't say Pfizer. That there's already, there's a program running there that's
Yeah.
stopping the flow of discourse and communication. So yes, for you and all of us to be on a network to allow that energy to flow as much, and we're all part of choosing to be in this environment to feel it in order to transmute it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy. Yes, I'm continuously being aware of how the layers of conditioning, how they're very insidious,
Yeah.
and that's fine. It's part of, I feel, my daily awareness to be with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
I think it's okay to. I like the word insidious. I think it's okay to use a word like that, because from our perspective, it is. Now, is insidious evil? For me, I have to again stay in the 0 point. But it's so important to feel, and you can't go, oh, I accept the dark, and you think you're going to have the same feeling as I accept the light. You know what I mean? So we really got to honor that. So I appreciate that word.
well, it feels it's very craft is another word I could say. It's very crafty,
Yes,
and so and it's then we and it hides
cunning.
because yeah, and so then because the hiding, and then that's why we call it the shadow, and it's not well, the denser it goes, then there is suffering,
Yeah,
and I well, I'm just aware of working on myself with thinking I'm really human. I've got my stuff. I got more stuff. I thought, I coming up again, and anxiety, and I'm like, oh no, not that again. I'm like, it's not. I don't want it. Oh, and then and my mind trying to figure it out and put it in this place or that place, and then I'm like, oh, it's acceptance. Because one minute I'm having a vision of Sophia or whatever I'm having, and then the next minute I'm having a human experience, um and that is that, and then I got to another layer of accepting that it's that is what is
yeah,
because it is.
yeah,
uh, uh, so yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah,
very, very upfront about that. I've always been very upfront about being transparent, and I don't, in a way, it's always been so draining energetically trying to fit in whatever that is. And there isn't anything to fit into. It's an illusion anyway.
yeah.
And so we create the illusion.
Exactly. We are the cunning.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
I saw a really cool interview on a small channel with Mateus De Stefano. It's about 3 weeks old, and he explained he explained in essence what the dark is, and basically what he said was that the dark has created this. In other words, we would not find the light without the dark. So the dark, so to speak, and again, not a human connotation of evil, but the actual souls that have come into play, those roles are actually very mature and ancient souls. Mm-hmm. Because they produce the catalyst for us to dive into, to then be expanded from. It was very interesting.
That's the message I got through Saturn. Saturn was all, Saturn, dense energy, and Saturn return, and the actual being of Saturn came to me, the presence of, before the lockdowns and everything. And it was phenomenal having a huge planetary presence being that close to me energetically. It was mind-blowing. So I wasn't able at the time to figure out what message might be with that. And then recently I've gone back and then looked at alchemy, and the first dark night in the alchemical process is Saturn. And Saturn is, lead and density. And then I tuned into I was being told that I'm receiving the highest ascended aspect, the Deva resonance of the planets. And so we have an idea of what we put with, like, the personalization, the character of Saturn, but there's many layers to Saturn. And Saturn, like Earth, like all of us, have different aspects, and we are evolving together, so that Saturn is not fixed. So then I looked up the myth, having said all that, and Saturn is connected to Chronos, time.
Right.
And so I then got the message from the Deva aspect saying, I assisted the energy, it's not I, but assisted to for there to be creation manifested.
Right.
Because with time and 3D physical vibration, this is what has emerged.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And now this, we are evolving out of that, but that facilitation of the dark night is assisting us to find the light within, but we must go, like you say, in the darkness.
Yes.
So it's and the initiation at the weekend was, we went into the darkness to find the light. Like you say, without the darkness we wouldn't be able to see the light. It's just light, mm-hmm. Which is wonderful. But so, and I recently, when I was because I looked at alchemy about 30 years ago, and it was a lot to try and figure out, and I was reading Jung, but I was looking at the stages again. It's like there's two dark nights. You get the initial dark night, or Saturn, and then you move into Jupiter, which is actually the white ray, which is the and then you move through a few more stages, and then you get to the second dark night, which is Venus, which is about love. But that's the second dark night. Anyway.
No, this is good stuff. This is you know what's so crazy about now, especially as we've gotten into March, because January and February, those had, to me, they had very much a feeling like the end of 2022. The last
Yes,
half of
me
2022.
too.
There was still
Yeah, yeah,
some burn going on. There was a lot of, just fatigue, emotionally, mentally, physically, people.
yeah.
But then March came, and although those patterns still seem to be coming, oh, this is here again, or this is deeper, showing me again, there's something else happening. There's like
Mm.
this rapid machine gun expansion, like a staccato, like boom, 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 and then the stuff comes, and then boom, 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 and there's this whole band of frequencies that we haven't had, but in my opinion, but in temporary dimensional episodes, or mutual meditation, or mutual hieroskamas, or whatever. But it's actually out here now, and it's pretty wild, and it's moving really fast. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I know you work with the land, I know you work with the elemental, you work with everything, but the land in particular, the inner earth, the nature beings, the elementals, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the trees, the mountains, I just feel like they're getting turned on. No matter what we hear about, oh, there's UFOs and the starships are going to land, or whatever it may be, or the sun's doing what it's doing, there seems to be like a real amplification of those things that are closest to us that have had a physicality with us. Are you having any type of increase in your understanding or communion with elementals, animal kingdom, etc.?
I did last year when I was, so it would be this time last year
Okay.
when I was out in a forest and the light was a particular light. It was in Wales and there was this emerald resonance to the green. It was glowing, it was almost like fluorescent. And a male being passed through my heart, physically went through my body. My dog was barking, getting a bit freaked before that. So she was being spooked, so she could feel the energy. And immediately this being said, I'm watching you. We're watching you. And you go to Ireland. And that was the Shining Ones, which very similar to what you could describe your experience of being this 25-foot being in Egypt. The Shining Ones,
Yeah.
from the Tath of Danann, from the and I went to Ireland with a few people, but through Wales, and nothing happened with the she coming, and I'm like, what's lots of other things happened, very profound. But at the end, the last day, the she came pouring out of the hills, and I thought I was going to go insane because they were very light, bright, massive, and their energy was off the charts. I literally thought I was going to go insane.
You thought what?
I literally thought I was going to go insane because it was hard for me
Now,
to be
what?
in
Now,
that vibration.
what were these energies? What were they?
The Shining Ones, the
Okay,
Tuatha-De-Danann,
yeah,
the
yeah.
gods of the fairy. That's
The
where I've got they're called the gods of the fairy realm,
Wow, wow.
and they sometimes are linked to the Elohim. So they said, now you get that it would take groups of you to be able to be in our vibration,
Okay.
light resonance, because I couldn't contain being in their presence for very
So,
long.
so it takes. So you were there with a group, and
I
they
was there
were.
with a group. They weren't having the experience because it started when I went to the loo. Because we were all in this restaurant, and then I went to the loo, and then it all
They
kicked
always
off.
come in the loo. I don't know what's going on with the loo, man. They always come in the loo for all of us. How many of us have dropped our phones in the loo? Be honest. No, this is fascinating. So that's a powerful thing. Okay, so essentially what they're saying is that when you come with two or more, then you're going to be more likely to be able to sustain us being
Yes.
in your
So
higher sensory
yeah.
presence. Yeah, that makes a
So
lot of
we're
sense.
yeah. So individually we've been rising up and and then in groups we're doing that more together, like you're saying. um, and um, and light language, like going, if I can weave that in as well in here. I was explaining to a student of mine, call it the word student, but anyway, what she asked me what was light language and what is happening when I'm channeling light language and how to understand what's happening and as I was explaining, I was getting more understanding that was I was aware was already within me, but
Yeah.
it was taking me to speak it to know it. But I knew it because it was coming through me. I always That's a higher self awareness. And I was saying when the light language comes in, it's lighter and it's in the auric field. It's held within our light body, light language. And the light body is linked into the light matrix. And so and that light matrix is a library. And so there's so many, for me, it's like, oh, what's what I'm meaning about joining the dots? Because we are literally being plugged in, we're switching on, we're lighting
Yeah.
up. And so when, like you having that memory of being in Egypt and whatever memories, like, we're being switched on more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's
Well, and
so,
I think too, like the experience you had with the shiny ones. Uh, I know, and we've been putting it out there, but I know there's other people who've been writing about it. Or a lot of things. A lot of things are being written about in real time, and that's another thing I'm noticing more than ever. The Stargates.
oh yeah.
On February or March 1st, I saw a Stargate. I saw that Morgan, the land where she's at, was going to open up to her. And there would be a Stargate. 2 days later, she sees the Stargate. I saw some pictures. I haven't talked to her. I saw some pictures that she took last night of the Stargate. Many
Uh-huh.
pictures. I wanted to ask you about not necessarily Stargate. You know, Judith Kuzel talks a
Yeah.
lot recently and beforehand about the pyramid energy and the pyramid circuitry or network on the earth and so on. Are you are you coming across or feeling or sensing any type of access or accessibility to these types of things, whether it be a more frequent communion with, like the shiny ones as an example, or people being presented with portals or stargates or things that have been here that are being turned on, as you said, as things are being turned on within ourselves? Are you seeing any of that?
Well, my experience, because I'm very much a bit of a hermitess where I am, my experience is um, I realise it's been sort of gradual and then with leaps that I had that experience in 2012 of the another universe. It's the only way I can describe it, and that's how I described it at the time, coming into this universe with these massive golden beings. That's what was a major awakening. And then it was again, it was they weren't so warrior like. The shining ones are quite warrior like, but the golden ones were a different resonance and bigger. And it was full of sacred geometry and structures and amazing. What I tuned into, I think it's after, I can't, again, I'm not in linear time, so I don't know whether it was before the Sophia thing or after. I think it was before. I suddenly woke up my ego or awareness of I can, I've had periods of time where a few years back I was walking on Hampstead Heath, and the golden beings resonance dimension came in, and it first it looked like shimmery, like heat wave, literally was in two dimensions, children playing, dogs barking, and then walking through this golden dimension. But what's happening now is I'm in it the whole time, not quite so dialed up, but I'm in it the whole time. And the last year, 2 years, I've been, it's, it takes me a while to get up in the morning. I have to take my time. I'll be walking somewhere and be like, it's all the time with
Don't
me.
feel don't feel like the Lone Ranger. I'm serious. It's 1:44 here. It's
Wow.
1:44 here in Houston. I went to bed. Oh, I can't even go there. Just so I was up. I was up. Uh, it would have been about 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning. I could not tie my shoes for 2 hours. And almost every day is like this now.
Yeah.
My hair's falling out, my skin's burning, especially around my third eye and my skull.
Right, right,
So there's a
right.
lot going on here, and it's so multifaceted. It's like the human experience. You would think, okay, ascending is I'm going to anchor my multidimensionality and own all dark and light, and I will rise above, and so on. But what it is turning out to be for me is the human experience itself in the present moment has a
Yes.
uh, multidimensional, factor now. Like there's so much coming in at the same time, and how can I hear all this and understand it at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yet
Yeah.
where it used to be one thing came in, then you'd apply it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
now you get all this stuff come in, you're like, what the
Yeah.
hell do I do? And
Yeah.
somehow or another, you take a baby step, and the universe is there to greet you, and the world is telling you that it's this big bad place, and whatever, and yet there's this group here, right? There's these people that are on the earth that are going, hey, I know what's going on here. This nothing can hurt me, and it's all coming back, and Stargates and Sophia and this and that and this and that. You know, um, it's pretty weird, to say the least. But I'm glad we're here.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell me about a little bit more about because everything's taken on different meaning. And I remember 11 years ago when I reawoke, Solomon was one of the guides that came in, King Solomon.
Okay. Oh,
And
wow.
and because I'm a writer and because I serve the mother, part of the interaction had to do with the songs of Sophia. And really the energy of Sophia. And I didn't know what all that was then. I knew the
No.
mother, but I didn't know her to the degree like so many things we know now much deeper. But so what does that mean Sophia came in? How did that happen for you? And
I
what do
was
you
waking. I woke up in the morning, and literally, this presence with a dragon went. I was like, with an announcement, Sophia has risen. That's what it was. Very instantaneous. It was spontaneous. It was like okay, um, and that's it. And so I've been drawing. I've been discovering through the drawing now. I've done one drawing, and I'm doing another one to bring the information out, because it's beyond words,
right, right,
and so there's lots of words, and people will be gifted in that. Um, the one drawing I've been doing, I'm surprised at what's going on with it.
What do
So
you mean?
well, I can bring it. I've got two.
It did you see that? Did you see that second picture I put up with the post announcing this show?
No.
Here, let me just because I wanted to ask you about this. Well, you brought it up already, so let's see. Hang on, let me just share the screen. Go over here.
Oh,
This one here, was that you?
oh. No, I didn't create that. No, but it so spoke to me about where they're very much like the Shining Ones, which
That's when I saw it. That's exactly what I thought.
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought,
that
and not even knowing that you were going to mention the shiny ones, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah, yeah,
I've seen that before. In two things. One was the wings and their little
yeah.
rainbow here, and then
Mm.
the I guess you would say like the light body of
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
the entity itself, because I've seen this before, uh, where the cosmos is, like as within without kind of thing, with
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
sun in the middle and so on. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, let me go back to over here, and you can show us what you're talking about. Boom. Here we go.
So that's one.
Oh yeah, I saw that the other day. I saw one of those the other day that you did. Yeah. Wow. What the hell is that? That is
That's Sophia
wild.
with the dragon.
That's Sophia with the dragon. Wow. And you drew this from scratch, just downloading it?
Yes, that was two. Took me 2 days after because I had to do something after the initiation.
That is
So
far
that
out.
um
Is that
yeah. So there's
copper? The copper color
yeah,
there?
yeah. Yeah. So photographing it's rather
Uh,
challenging. But yeah, it's bronze, copper, and gold pencil, and um yeah. So um
wow.
that
Wow.
that so there's actually five eyes, sacred five, the fifth. So that one I did. That got a whole series. This one is the one that's a bit more challenging. This is taking a while. So
Wow.
that's so she
Sophia's
actually
wow. That's
so she's
that
kind of she's a hermaphrodite actually. A bit of a hermaphrodite going on there, but
man,
and
that
there's
is so. I mean, that's like a. It's almost like looking at a history book or something, right? Like
yeah. So
you,
this
like it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so there's going to be loads of detail. So
Yeah.
I'm just doing detail in
Yeah.
there, and that's like
Well, that octahedron at the top that has it
yeah,
looks like a railroad track going into an
yes,
infinity.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
and then these there's another thing I saw there. Oh yeah, to the okay. So you have like this horizontal triangle in between Sophia and that octahedron. One side you have this like an earring with the heart upside down, and
yeah,
those little things that are coming off of that
yeah,
okay, to me looks like a piano with like
yeah,
piano keys with like the
yeah,
the notes
yeah,
themselves coming off
yeah,
of them like a dripping.
yeah,
There's so much in there. That's very cool, no
yeah.
doubt.
They're like a kind of like antennae and okay, there's a delay, but um, yeah, and that's a she being on the left. Here we are. That ends up being a tree. I didn't realize that was a tree. So some of it I don't know what's going to happen until I it's like automatic.
Right.
Um, yeah. So I mean, it's very powerful. That. So yeah, this is A3. So this is going to take a little while for me.
Now, have you
But
had you done anything like that before?
like the large one, no. Because I've been looking at alchemical images. I
Mm,
love when they're very complex and they're very intricate, and they have that. It's like a whole cosmology. I wanted to do that.
Are you, Linda Christine's asking, our sister from Florida, she's asking if you're going to be selling these prints or anything?
Yeah, I'm going to get a print of when I've
Excellent.
done this. That one, that's on my. You can order it on my website. A print of that.
Okay, hang
I
on.
have.
Tell me, hang on a second.
There's another one that's.
Oh, wait, let me see that. Now what? Okay, can you back to? Oh my God! Can you see the god and the goddess, or the priest and the
Yeah,
priestess?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's like okay.
And
Pull it
that's
back up.
human.
Pull it back just a little bit. Yeah, and then above it. Wow, that's far. Now, do you know? Do you know what aspect or what consciousness you're pulling this from? Is it Sophia?
What?
Is it all Sophia? Where you're getting?
That's Gaia.
Okay, okay,
Very closely linked.
okay.
So here are two creation beings of Earth.
Again, I can. Oh my God! I can see the Lyran.
Yeah,
I can see the other being, which
but
seems
more
to be
avian,
yeah,
avian
like
looking.
yeah, avian. And then I love the way that you did the Earth in the middle. I don't know
Yeah,
how you did that because it looks like it's smeared or like it's got like a some type of mirror glitter or something. I don't know.
yeah,
It's wild. And that blue green. It's
yeah,
very faint, but you can see it in the bottom right.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, these I'm talking about like on the globe itself. Oh, I see it there too. Yeah, yeah. The colors are really cool. Yeah.
So what surprised me by this is there were huge beings that helped create Earth, and then I bought Laurie Ladd's book, The Divine Design, and she writes this.
Right.
She writes it in her book.
Well, I think that's happening a lot. Where you're having these, synchronicities that have a physicality in the human experience.
Yeah,
As we
yeah,
keep, it's that whole idea of the convergence or the reconnection, the universe reconnecting itself. Another way to describe what we're all experiencing. Kind of like the breath went out, now the breath comes in, and everything converges back to almost like you're going backwards, like in slow mo, like
there's
you're
no,
rewinding.
yeah. Well, because we're getting more quantum, there won't be a delay. We
Yeah,
won't be experiencing the
yeah.
linear delay. It'll be boom, 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 boom. Hence, that's telepathy. We're shifting, like you was describing, shifting from
Yeah.
it'll be in the moment, and when more of us are in that moment, then we're gonna be freaking.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
that's
No
isn't it?
kidding. No kidding. I can't hardly even these days think past the last 24 hours.
No,
Like,
yeah,
like
neither.
I had a full day yesterday. I went to bed, connected with Morgan for about 3 hours, and the information is going back and forth, and I go to sleep. I get woke up out of sleep. These incredible things are happening, and then, like you said, you wake up the next day, and it literally takes 2 hours to get into functionable human being mode.
Yes.
And it's okay, it's okay, but I think we're pushing it as fast as we can. I
Yeah,
really
it's
do.
like me too. You
I
can't
think we're
go any.
pushing it
Yeah,
really
that's enough.
fast.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I wanted to ask you, what is the name of your website? What is the name of it? Hang on.
ZaharaCelestial.com.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah,
Is
my
it
name.
is it Zahara or wait a minute? Where am I at? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Zahara.
Yeah, I got it.
Z-A.
Yeah, I got it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't. Okay, it's ZaharaCelestial.com. All right. Okay,
Yeah.
we can do that. Boom. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, hi. There we go.
Yeah, one of the things that we want to do as we expand the network, is we want to make sure that we continue to do what we've always done from the very first days of the group, and that is to build a platform where people can connect and interconnect and gravitate to the things that are the easiest translators for them. You know, some people it's going to be the shiny ones and the elementals coming down from the mountains blasting you with light, and other ones it's going to be, you know, different. But yeah, so ZaharaCelestial.com. You guys take a look there. We'll leave that up there for the rest of the show. I'm excited about 2023. It's a bit bewildering, mind blowing, and just a dash of frightening.
Yeah, definitely.
But wild and strange. I'll say that too. But you know, something. All these years we've been meeting, right? All these years we've been talking about it, and all these years we've had our human sufferings and everything. But it used to be that we would talk about what was coming. Now we're talking about what's here.
Yeah.
How do you, because I know we can't go too far out. How do you see your creations? How do you see it going for you the next 2 or 3 months?
Well, I have been connecting in with really wanting to be of service because I've felt lots of doors. Well, around where I live, the doors are definitely closed. They can't handle me at all here. And with my own service work, and I've been tuning in, and I have the gift. It's the gift, not ego gift. The gift to connect, and have been seeing my progression. I'm being like trained up to get messages to be of service for the collective. So I've had enough remembering and enough practicing with working with individuals and groups to, okay, how can I be of service now? We're in it now. We're at the pivotal place. And they did tell me, my family of light guides, that my work was going to change radically, and it hasn't as yet. But I've been tuning in and going, okay, so I have this capacity to receive communication. So how can I be of service? What's the next level then? Beyond that, I don't know. I've been going, okay, tune in, and channeling is a big part of what I do. That's
Channeling?
channeling,
Yeah.
and receiving.
Okay.
So I do that with the images, but in English to speak as well as light language, but to bring in and explain what's occurring and bring in the information. So that's.
Right.
People love that. I feel alive because I'm literally emanating the energy. It's in resonating.
So when you're channeling now, because I mean, you've shared that here before over the years. I have a feeling it's different now. But when you're doing that, okay, do you feel like that? It's coming from you, and when I say you, I don't mean. I mean the you, me, we, and it that is embodying within you. I mean, I know this sounds a little bit, but
no, I think I'm with you already with what you're saying.
Okay. Do you want to do some now before we get out of here? Do you want to connect? Whatever you're comfortable. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Just to say, when we're in the multidimensional resonance. There isn't that separation on, is Sophia me or not me, but it's not, obviously I'm human Zahara. And so there can be, it's an interesting question. And there are times when I know it's my higher self, and other times different being that comes through. Right. Other times it feels like a marriage, and there is that, you're talking about Helios Gamos, so yeah, it can be many different
Yeah.
things. And I feel training in this, practicing is a training, so you can navigate. Go, okay, this is what's going on. But yes, so just I often start with light language because that will switch it on very quickly.
Thank you.
Okay, kortkuishki anar kutushki esie anar kutushki nar kutoyesi. Thank you for all your work that you're both doing and all of you doing. Kator kushkotoyetia dar kutoye. In the rhythm of the sound, the vibration of the land, we heard you were asking Zahara, but Zahara wasn't tuning in that way. She doesn't tune in to that way, but we're using this, we're moving through, so that is communicating. What can often happen is that when we're wanting to communicate, when you, in response to the questions that you may be asking, because you are in the physical, how you will then interpret how we are going to communicate to you, you will be limited, and we don't mean it in a negative way, but you will be limited to how you understand what we are saying. There is that lost in translation. So we just relayed a image, which was very much like the image of the drawing, which did grab your attention, Todd, and that was a reason why, which was
Yes.
So I'm receiving through that it's a they, and they showed me that that there is this direct path, that there's no turning back, that we are, and there's a momentum. But they also showed me the rhythm, let's say, the earthquakes. And then I was going, are you saying that we're going to have lots of earthquakes? And then they got into telling me that you're being very limited on how you are understanding, because when you move into multidimensional, higher resonances, you're able to hold the wider spectrum in your now of the different dimensional realities that are held in Earth. So still, does that make sense? There's still many
Yes.
of you are, so are in that linear perspective. So we want to assist you to really be creator beings. So when you receive an information from us, the information, obviously we're in a higher vibration, and you're coming up to meet us, and you're doing that all the time. You're doing that all the time. And so then as you come to meet us, we are relaying an energy vibration to assist. Your ego parts are still needing to understand, so that's one resonance. Your mind still needs to understand, and so you're having these words. But more than that, we are a vibration resonance. And so it's moving beyond words. So we are really liking that you're doing the telepathy. We really, that's really, yeah, we really, that's your.
So I'm sorry. May I ask you something? Just to get some clarity.
Sure.
I think I get what you're saying. I think the universe has gifted me as kind of a translator, but I want to make sure I get this right for everybody. You brought up the example of I believe earthquakes or something like that, and then in the next sentence you said what we're coming into understanding, I guess, just to put it in my words, slowly but surely, is the multidimensionality, the multi-dimensional, the multi-frequency experiences this is becoming. For example, with the earthquakes, we as humans, from our perspective, would look at an earthquake or a forest fire or a hurricane or whatever it is as the obvious natural force that it is, and from the human-only perspective, the catastrophic that comes with it.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is that there's much more there than meets the eye.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
not the physical interpretation that we've only been able to comprehend to this point. It is also, it really beneath it all is an energetic message, and ultimately will be an energetic experience to be more and more sensitized via the light bodies, via the multidimensionality, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, okay.
And we're connected with Gaia, and so the more that we are understanding that and not being fixed in the linear physical interpretation or reaction to, we can work with Gaia, work with the land. See, like fire has, on a physical level, has 5. People kind of often list it as like firefighters, say that it has 5 different stages, but fire has different dimensional resonances as well.
Exactly.
So
I remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So seeing, so individually, we're all practicing, learning about our own different layers of dimensionality, and then we're meeting each other individually, then in groups, holding our different layers of dimensionality, and then we're now it's just microcosm, macrocosm.
Right.
So when they were coming in, they were saying when you reach those places, then you really can move the energy, and they were going, it's all energy. It's all energy. It's when you really, that's when you become master creators, and but like you say, rising out of the fear of, God, that's happening now, and it's
like the singularity or the limitation of it. So here's another way to put it. Victoria said, also by earthquake, it's maybe not so literal. I think, like a few weeks ago, you know how these things just pop out of our mouths, because I think we do channel more and more just through normal conversation. When we're kind of in that state of the natural, the flow, or without the self-consciousness or whatever. But what it was, we were talking and along the lines of this, and I said, how do we not know that our frequency level is raising to a point that when the Earth comes to match us, it will come in the form, let's say, of volcanic eruptions and mass lava flow, and technically we all get burned to death. But how do we not know that our frequency band becomes such that when the Earth makes that change, or whatever you want to call it, that we meet it due to our efforts, and that from a human standpoint, we are unharmed. Just as we know as a soul, we're unharmed no matter what happens. So I really get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and people can actually, firewalk.
Yeah.
Even on a physical level, people can do things alone about, So yeah.
Well, listen. Can you do me a favor? Hang on. Don't run off. Don't hang up. We've got another show in 52 minutes with Shalimar and Nana Shalom, another powerful feminine. But we're going to sign off this show for now. And we'll see you again. And don't forget, ZaharaCelestial.com. I don't know where it went. And also Soulogy, SoulogyNetwork.com. We're going to be continuing to broadcast full-length broadcasts through the 24th. And then after that, we'll do our best to get excerpts from our show. But all of our programming with our friends and collaborators will be on the SoulogyNetwork.com, or as I like to refer to it now, Soulogy Network and Community Platform that everyone will build as they want to. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to hang out and talk for a second. We'll see y'all.